Okay, and let's go. And we should be live now, Reed. So say hello.
Well, hello, everybody, and happy Saturday. Hope you have got a really nice weekend lined up. I know starting mine with the webinar for the crew for you guys. Most of you have been around quite a while with us. You know what we're all about, but we do have some new folks kind of peeking in the window here. So we're happy to see you too, and we'll give it our best.
Yeah, so I want to just say to everyone, um, it says a lot about you getting up on a Saturday morning and getting up early, especially if you're on the West Coast. It is Saturday. Kay Marie, who's manning Facebook, YouTube, GoToWebinar, doing everything for us, got here at 6:30 this morning, so that is really fantastic. I just want to remind everybody before we actually get started that just because you showed up, you will actually get a copy of the replay. If people that didn't show up will not get the replay. So that's number one. Number two, as we said, nothing here will be sold. Almost everybody on this live event, whether you're on GoToWebinar, Facebook, or YouTube, um, everyone here is most likely an FDNer or have graduated the FDN course, is in the middle of the FDN course. But of course, we pulled back the curtain so that ultimately those people who are thinking of becoming an FDNer or are a health coach who may not even know anything about FDN can see what goes on, the trainings that we do to make FDNers the most successful health coaches really in the world. But we cannot answer any questions. If you're interested in FDN, we won't take your questions. Nothing will be sold. But Kay Marie has put a link inside GoToWebinar. You can click on that in the chat. And there's also one that is on Facebook and YouTube. I'm going to pop what Kay Marie, you can see her great picture right now in Facebook and YouTube. It'll pop up on the screen any minute. So you get to see that, and you'll also get to, there it is. And you'll also get to see what that link is if you do have any questions. So Reed, why don't we go ahead and switch to the slides now? Open up your slides and show those. I'll have to make a change. There we go. That's a thing of beauty. And I'm going to do one more thing right there. Make that look a little prettier. And then I'm going to do one more thing. And then I think we're ready to rock here. Let me see if I could do this, if this works, what I was thinking of. Oh, yeah, that's beautiful. Okay, so I'm ready to start. Read when you are.
Well, thanks so much, Alan. Thank you, Kay Marie. Kay Marie is a champion who has been helping FDN to grow across the planet for quite a while now. Thank you, Kay Marie, for being up so early, being out there in California. Dr. Al, who's on the East Coast, thousands of miles away. It looks like we're right next to each other, you know?
Well, let
And
me reach over to that right side. There you go, Reed. How's it
there,
going, man?
yeah.
Oh, no,
So,
you're right the first time.
so Dr. Al's been my partner in crime for well over a decade, actually, since I started the FDN program in 2008. So uh, he knows it inside and out, and I couldn't ask for a better partner to help explain why most health coaches have no credibility today. And so, what we're going to cover will be why most health coaches have no credibility in the eyes of the client. Now, in your own eyes and in your mother's eyes, I'm sure you're very credible, but that we need to go over, and how to set proper expectations so both you and the client get what you expect out of working together. It's incredibly important to go over the mindset that must be in place if your client's going to get what they want. And what two things you should never tell a client, and we know from experience, and then why the more you charge, the happier the client will be. I don't know where this came from, but 20 years ago, I just in the middle of a sentence I doubled my price on a person from what I had charged the previous person. And they didn't bat an eye. They just went and got their credit card, and that was the deal. So the more you charge, the happier they actually get. And why every client wants you to run lab tests and which ones. And to that, I just can't say enough. So,
Oh, I want you to go back. Don't change those slides yet until I
okay.
jump in here. You know I have a lot to say. So number one, I want to talk about number one because I think this is real important. You know, when you have a client, any client, they are already pre-programmed by medical doctors, by people they've seen before, to expect certain things. And if you don't meet that client's expectations right from the get-go, all of a sudden you lose your credibility. And what that is for almost every person that has a health challenge is they expect when they go see anybody that someone is either going to run labs or they are going to interpret labs. And that's a critical thing, because if anyone goes to somebody and that person doesn't say, let's take a look at this or let's take a look at that, or send them to a lab or send them for an MRI or an X-ray, they don't think that that person has credibility. They don't think they're doing enough to find out what's wrong with them. And one of the things that are missing in the health coach world, except for you FDNers, as I said, almost everyone here is an FDNer, and that is that most health coaches do not run labs, or they don't run the right labs, or they're not comprehensive enough, and they wind up making a decision about what's wrong with their client based on symptoms, which you're going to learn today is the worst thing that you could do. One, clients no longer want you to only treat symptoms. They're looking to know more about their risk factors, am I high risk or low factors. So labs give you credibility, and you must meet the client where they live. The second thing I want to say, and then I'll let you change the slide, is with the more you charge, the happier the client will be. People put a value on the services that you render. Years ago, I did an experiment with a TV commercial that I wrote and starred in, where we sold an exercise device, and what happened was we charged half the audience at a very low price and half the audience at 5 times the price. We sold many more exercise devices at 5 times the price than the cheaper price, because people felt, wow, it must be much more valuable because it's so expensive. So those 2 points I wanted to make.
And that's such a remarkable phenomena. Now, with we're known, it's no secret, as the health counseling, health education, health coaching program that teaches the lab work. We've been doing it since 2008. In the beginning, we were rebels. Now we're everyone knows you've got to run labs, and so if you're not running labs right now, you're not meeting clients' expectations and needs. Dr. L may tell you why. And you're not looking at the whole picture person. How can you, with all these things going on the left there that we see, these are the causes of disease and symptoms, and why would you leave one out? Why would you run one test and go, oh, it's your thyroid, and then treat the thyroid? You're basically just treating the paper. So this is what metabolic chaos is here, and if you're not assessing it and solving it, and creating personalized health plans on this information, then you're just taking a shot in the dark.
You know, that picture that Reed has on this slide is critically important, because if you've ever thrown a rock into a pond, you know that you get all these little ripples in the pond, but if you threw the rock, you know which ripple was first. But if someone else threw that rock, what happens is you just see a lot of ripples. You don't know which is first or which ones came after. And most clients that come to you, the things going on in their body are like ripples in the pond. Each one of these ripples represent a symptom, and if you don't see them throw that rock, you wouldn't know which is the main cause. And most clients that come to you, they don't know either, so they give you a symptom. So think of metabolic chaos is all the ripples in the pond. You don't know which one came first, but you got to get all those ripples out of the pond. That's what metabolic chaos is all about.
Amen. So let's go into that a little bit deeper. Here's what we're talking about in the clinical setting. So, it's how you apply this information that matters. And what happens all the time, I had just mentioned thyroid. Well, you go into a physician, or someone does, and you have certain complaints. It's a cluster of symptoms. And there's one that's easily recognized as, well, that probably is thyroid. So that physician would probably run a thyroid test to back up his or her expectation or prediction. And sure enough, they might even find that you do have low thyroid. But that's never really the problem. They give you medication, it changes the numbers on the paper. You might even feel a little bit better, but you have not fixed why the thyroid was underperforming. Thyroid's obviously a endocrine function. Well, endocrine function and dysfunction is the result of metabolic chaos in the body. It also contributes to metabolic chaos in the body, which is why these arrows are pointed on both ends. And based on one's internal vital voids or weak links in metabolism, by the way, you have thousands of metabolic links in the body. Lots of places for things to break down and become chaotic. And so that same person, if you only treated the thyroid, is going to end up with nerve tissue health problems, brain foggy. They could end up with blood sugar regulation problems. They could end up with a lot of weight and fat distribution problems, and so on and so on and so on. And so,
back, don't leave me yet.
yeah. So it's impossible to predict what the underlying cause is, and sometimes it's impossible to figure out exactly what it was. But to us, that doesn't matter. You'll see why coming up.
Yeah, I just want to say, think of each of these circles surrounding metabolic chaos as the ripples in the pond. You don't know which was the first ripple in the pond. So if you just treat thyroid because they have a thyroid symptom, it literally might have started as a carb metabolism problem. You need to treat all the ripples and think of what you're seeing here as all these ripples that are contributing to the metabolic chaos that your client has.
Yep. And so, by the way, we do that without practicing medicine. We do not offer a medical diagnosis. We have one concern, and it is that metabolic chaos. So we run our series of labs. We're now kind of infamous for this HIDDEN. These are the foundational labs that everyone must run, and because you don't know where that symptom or set of symptoms is coming from. And this is the pattern that I discovered back in the office when I was running thousands of labs on thousands of people. The commonality in every person that came in with these chronic degenerative stress-related conditions. Back then, fibromyalgia was really popular. Now it's like, SIRS and these other things, SIBO and what have you. But guess what? They all have hormone, immune, digestion, detoxification, energy production, and nervous system imbalances. So what I learned was that you got to run 5 labs on every person, and here they are for you to read. Al?
Yeah, what I want to just say about this is, for you FDNers, and of course, let me just say, if you came in late, you just got here, you will get a copy of the replay, so congratulations on that. Only those people that show up and get it. Nothing is being sold here. This is a training. Almost everyone on this call is already either graduated from FDN or an FDN student. If you're a wannabe FDN or you're a health coach learning about what the training, if you have any questions, there's a link in the chat, there's a link on Facebook, there's a link on YouTube. We will not entertain any of those questions because we're not selling anything. This is a training. What I want to say to all you FDNers, you'll see here there are 5 or 6 tests. Do not decide which one you think you should run. As we teach you in the course, you run every lab. Why do you run every lab? Because the ripples in the pond need to be solved, and the only way you're going to solve that for the client is to know where each of those ripples live and what's causing each one and how they affect each thing. Do not make a decision that you should run this lab. You run all the labs. That's why we teach that to you.
Al, I'm just going to add on top of what you said, that with these labs, we're not just looking at 5 rings in the pond. These labs here can identify as many as 25 or 30 different healing opportunities because there's a lot of different markers on these labs. And what Al said is true. You can't pick one marker and go, oh, look, I found your problem. Because they have, if there's 20 markers showing up as out of range or out of optimum range, that's significant. That's a very significant finding. And you'll be doing more for that client than anyone ever has up to that point. So a little bit about my background, where this came from. I started in 1999 after spent a few years in the environmental field and conservation field. I became the health director and case manager or working my way up to it at a wellness center in Southern California. Amazing place. And the thing that bothered me the most about all of the patients coming in the office, I wasn't the doctor, but I was the nutritionist there, and I kind of triaged everybody. And every single one of them coming in, we weren't the first office they'd been in. Sometimes we were the 5th office, the 8th office, the 10th office they'd been to. And like when I started working there, I'd never had a health problem in my life. I had maybe a couple toothaches, and that was it. And so I didn't know that how bad the medical system was. I just hadn't had any experience. So when I heard that, well, what do you mean we're the 5th office or 8th office or 10th office? And it just really upset me. And I said, I'm going to be the last person you need to see. I don't know how, but I'm going to figure this out. And I had some amazing mentorship at the time. There were pioneers in the field, Jonathan Wright and Bill Timmons and John Lee, and these amazing doctors of the day who, by the way, were completely out of the box. Some people said out of their minds, but they were out of the box for sure. And they were my mentors, but I did my own work. I'm the guy that performed over 10,000 tests on people and had the lab calling me saying, who the hell are you? No one runs this many labs. I just went nuts with it, frankly, because I was fascinated and I wanted to help these people. And so this is what's really great. I made my own observations on top of all this great training about who got better and who didn't. Matter of fact, I'm the guy that filled in the pieces of the puzzle that they were still looking for, some of these pioneers. And so I developed what's called FDN and DRESS. And now we teach other professionals how to fill the needs gap and end the cycle of trial and error that these poor people were in.
I want to add one thing to what you said in the beginning. I think this is the most important takeaway from this particular slide. I mean, not to mention someone doing 10,000 tests is amazing. But what I practiced 34 years, what Reed said, and many of you health coaches know, and FDNers know really more than anyone else, most people don't come to you as the first entry into the healthcare system. They've already been to 5 or 6 other people who have not helped them. That could be 5 or 6 medical doctors. It could be 5 or 6 health coaches. And the reason that is because everyone is treating symptoms rather than treating metabolic chaos. All those ripples in the pond. You as an FDNer are the only group that treats the metabolic chaos. That's what people are really looking for. And as Reed said, he wanted to be the last stop. You will now, and most of you experience this unless you're still in the course and you haven't graduated yet, you will be the last stop because you're fixing something and you're going to be telling people, we'll talk about in a second, something that no one else could do. 1, because you're an FDNer, the system that you're given, and number 2, because you're running the labs that gives you the ability to solve metabolic chaos.
Amen, sir. So this is one of the greatest tools. You know, I've been doing this in the office with the doctors who work there. They just trusted me and I was allowed to work under them. And when I started training in 2008, that wasn't going to work. So I had to create basically the world's first medical director program, direct-to-consumer program, where everyone can get the labs, everyone. Nowadays, there's about 40 different companies doing this. So again, we kind of pioneered this. If you want to meet the client's expectations and needs, you got to run labs. Well, this is your access to it. We have a recommended series of tests and all the training, of course, you're going through now. And all you have to do is go to your FDN Connect portal where the lessons are. The same portal will give you access to this medical director program. Once you graduate, you have to have graduated. So I know a lot of trainees, they're already, it takes about 6 months to get through the course. So you're already saying, I want to get some labs for my mom and for my sister or whatever, my spouse or whatever. You got to graduate first. Sorry, that's the rules. So, and when you do order through here, it says right there, order a test. You click the button, you pick the test, and you put in your client's name, address, and so on, and we ship the kit to them. Now you will receive the test results, and then you'll meet with the client to review the results. It's really that simple. So anyone can do this now. This, besides the 10 years I spent working in the clinic, doing all the pioneering and hard work for you, figuring things out. This is the next best invention that came out of it.
Yeah, this is really what I call this is health coaching gold. No one else has access to the FDN Connect but FDNers. It gives you the ability to meet the client's expectations. But there's one other thing that you need to realize, and this is really, I mean, as I said, this separates you as an FDNer from every other health coach on the planet. That is that one, that you could run labs, and number two is the client receives the test and pays for the lab. You don't pay for the lab, they pay for the lab. Now, here's why that's so important. When they go to any health practitioner that orders labs, they don't pay that doctor for the labs. They pay the lab that they go to, wherever blood's drawn or MRIs or x-rays. So they don't see you as a cost factor in the labs. So you're able to charge more for your services because the labs that you're running is not considered in their mind that they're paying you. So if they, whatever they spend for labs, that's a lab expense. You're not in the lab business. You're in the interpreting and ordering labs. So that gives you the ability to charge much more for the services that you render in terms of being able to interpret those and take them where they need to go to solve their metabolic chaos.
Yeah, that's great. We're one of the purest fee-for-services there is. If you're an independent health coach, and by the way, there's lots of jobs for health coaches out there. Doctors are hiring them left and right. I have requests all the time from doctors who say, I can't have time to take your course read, but I want to hire some of your graduates. Or they put their staff through our program, which is for us even better. But it's just an amazing thing when you have this ability to help a doctor bring in some income, or just be a standalone independent practitioner, which is my preference.
Yeah, if you're just joined us, I want you to remember that you will get a copy of the replay. We're going to try to get out of here, as we said, in 30 minutes. So we have about 10 minutes left, 13 minutes left.
All right, go ahead.
And I just want to say one other thing. I'll cover this slide if you want me to also. If you have any questions about the course, do not ask us. We're not answering those. Nothing is sold. There are links in both the chat and on Facebook and YouTube. Let's talk about why it's critically important to change the belief system of all of the clients. And only as an FDNer do you have the ability to do this. So when someone comes to you, they usually, as we spoke about before, come after they've seen 4 or 5 other people. And the reason for that is that person has an expectation that you're going to give them something that's going to take away whatever challenge or problem or goal that they're trying to achieve. Every practitioner they go to before you, the FDNer, tries to meet their expectation. They also believe, I'm going to give this person something that's going to take away their symptom. That never works, and it never will work. And this is what we usually recommend, and you'll get this in the course in one way or another. And that is, I myself would always say, do you believe you have a rare disease that no one will ever be able to cure? And they go, oh, no, definitely not. And I say, well, why do you think that no one's been able to help you, and we're the 7th practitioner you've ever seen? And they all say, well, I don't know. And then I always will say to them, and so will you as an FDNer, you see, people who have the challenges that you have a functional problem. There's something dysfunctioning in their body. As a consequence, people who function properly do not have the symptoms and the challenges you have. That's why we're called Functional Diagnostic Nutrition, because we help people remove their dysfunctions, become more functional, and when they become more functional, guess what? Those challenges and symptoms you have will disappear. And they go, and I say, do you understand? And they shake their head, yes, because they do understand. And guess what happens? When they leave that consultation, they say, finally someone knows what's wrong with me. They know they're going to be able to help me, and they've helped other people. And what do you think they do? They become an evangelist for you as an FDNer, and they tell everyone, finally someone figured out what my challenge is. I have a functional problem. I'm going to a functional diagnostic nutritionist. And the end result is they start sticking with you forever, and they refer all their friends and family. So if you shift the client's belief, you have a business now, not to mention that you're helping the client get through that metabolic chaos.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I just couldn't have said it better myself. So there's 3 steps to this discovery and onboarding calls. One of the things we covered already was this changing their beliefs, that it's functional, and that they kind of live themselves into it. You know, that their problem is based on their genetic potential and negative signaling from the environment. It's pretty horrible. And from their lifestyle, which is also, they don't even know the things they're doing that are contributing to chaos in their body. So step 1 is we let the client know we'll be interviewing them instead of the other way around. There's no brain picking allowed or sneak peeks at the program, not initially anyway. We've got to decide if this person sitting in front of you is at the point where they want to get better and they're going to get committed enough to be successful. So we have very specialized onboarding procedures so they do that. Then you conduct your interview and you decide, can you even help them? Some people, might have some deeper psychological issue you don't want to deal with and things like that. And you got to decide if you really want to help them. And if you want to, if they're a nice person or somebody that's the beauty of being an independent health coach. You get to make these choices. And then stage 3, let them know you decided to accept them and offer to help if they're highly committed, ready to start immediately. And of course, pay you.
Yeah, one of the things, this slide, is it already in the course? We're not going to spend a lot of time on this slide because this is part of your training in FDN. If you're still in the course or not, let's go to the next slide, Reed. I think the next slide is, so this also,
go ahead.
So I was just going to say one thing here, and then you could say what you want. This is also part of the program. You're learning this. You've learned this in your training. But the key to these qualifying questions is one thing. It's about them. They leave this experience, this qualifying experience, saying they're interested in me. It's not about you. It's about them. They don't care about you. Believe it or not, if they've come to you, they already believe you're qualified to help them. So you don't need to sell them on, I took this course or that course. You need to let them take center stage so that they know that you have an interest in who they are, what's going on, and then you can qualify them.
Yeah, the first 4 questions are about their history, their health, their problem, their complaints, and you just listen. And none of it's okay. You can't say, that's great. What else is bothering you? You have to say, that sucks. And I feel sorry for you, and it's not normal. So the first 4 questions are about their complaints. 5 and 6 they're going to be their motivating factors, and they're going to prove to you that they're able to do this program, because they got to have a reason, and you got to know that nothing's going to stop them. And 7 and 8 are just, kind of your enrollment questions. Are they ready to enroll? And then you can go. So, and if you're operating this way, and if you're an FDN practitioner, people are going to be seeking you out. You don't have to FDNs don't spend half the time marketing of any other profession because people are looking for them. There's millions of people looking for someone who can say, yes, I know what's wrong with you. It's metabolic chaos for us. And yes, I can help you because we have all of the steps to sort out that metabolic chaos. And if
you should know, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No, that's it. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you should know all this already because we teach you all this in the course. The only thing I'm going to tell you is through these last 3 slides and the next couple, this is what you've been taught in the course. Do not make decisions to vary from what was already a proven formula that Reed proved on 11,000 tests. follow what we've taught you already. Do the things that are in the course. You could stop the video because you're going to get a replay and reread this or reread the 8 questions. The most important part of this training is do what we've taught you in the course, and you will be hugely successful.
Beautiful. So after that, and this is from one of my graduates. We have our own way of saying this, and everyone kind of gets their own way of saying this. No matter what you do, you got to deliver first-class service. Remember, they just handed you a big fat check to run some labs and sit down with them and go over those labs, and then coach them up for some period of time, like usually 3 months. 90 days is the perfect bite-sized piece for a program. I teach you how to package, how to price, how to put all your programs together, but it's up to you to decide, are you able to give first-class service? And you can hire an assistant and things like this because you're going to be having the money coming in. You got to be a good money manager when you start, especially the more you make. Let me tell you that for sure. And then really deliver. So everything's got to be first class. If it's the consultation, the collecting the payments, the welcome instructions. Our Jen, who's one of our superstars, she has this program even for our graduates called Practice Business Essentials, where she has you give out a gift. I guess, of course, Jen charges $7,500 for her programs, right, Al?
That's what I was going to say. She started before FDN working with clients for $500. Now she charges $7,500. And guess what? The secret ingredient for her to be able to do that? She follows what you've been taught in the course. It's that simple. She put her own little spin on it, but she orders all the labs. She follows all the training. She's done all the things that we teach in the course. So you have these tools available to you. Make sure you use them.
And last but not least, again, just on the idea of first-class service steps, and they're all in the course. Again, Jen's a unique individual who just one of the hardest workers I know, and she likes putting her own spin on things. And you can too. This is just one of my graduates. You might be the next graduate who says, "Hey, Reed, look how I'm providing this first-class service." And what I teach you is how to make sure people get better, and you can do the rest yourself if you choose to.
Cool, good deal.
Now, finally, this is as how easy it is. And if you think I'm oversimplifying it here, talk to 3,000 graduates, especially the 500 dues-paying members of our Association of FTM Professionals. No other course has 500 of its graduates wanting to hang out together, to provide peer support, to do all these things that we do together. It's as easy as this. Once you do step 1, run the labs, figure everything out. Step 2, create a program. Well, you run the program, and the first bite-sized piece is 90 days. Now, if you contrast this, by the way, with what people are getting from their medical doctor, it's mostly, I ran this one test. Here's the prescription you're going to have to take to get those numbers down or up, and I'll see you in 90 days. Like, good luck. We're saying, here's the labs we ran. Here are all the things you need to do with your lifestyle, and we'll work with you together for 90 days. Can you see the amazing paradigm shift and what that would mean to a client? So it's just a remarkable thing. All we do is coach up the intelligence in their cells, the vital reserve, with diet, rest, exercise, stress reducing supplements, and while we coach down the contributors to metabolic chaos wherever they may be.
Your job as an FDN person, and most of you, as I said, are FDNers here. You have one job. It's a very simple job. You coach up vital reserve. You coach down metabolic chaos. That's the business you're in. I never want to hear an FDNer say, "Oh, you have leaky gut. Oh, you have a thyroid problem. Oh, you sound like you have an adrenal problem." That's what everybody else does. You have the tools to do something that no one else could do. 2 tools: labs and coaching down metabolic chaos. That's it. Just do it.
Amen, sir. So I mentioned this briefly, the Association of FDN Professionals, and this is just a small group who showed up for a party on a Saturday night when we were all kind of hanging out in town together at a conference, and it's just remarkable. There's the list. You can, if you're watching a recording, just stop the recording and look at that list, because we, like everything else we do, we under promise, but we over deliver. And it's remarkable. And you know we're doing something right if you have over 500 members who are willing to pay dues to belong to a group. There must be something in it, and there is definitely something in it for you.
Yeah, I just want to say, you see that list on the left? The challenge that we've learned over the years of FDN is a lot of new people that have graduated from FDN or as they're finishing the course, they think you must be, at a certain level to participate in these things. That's really the wrong conception. These things are there so you could rub shoulders with the most successful health coaches in the world. So don't say, well, when I get to learn a little more and I have a little more experience, I'll plug into this. No, you want to jump into this group from day one. That's why we provide all these opportunities for you so you can hang out with the best in the world. So don't think you have to be the best in the world to hang out with the best in the world. You get these as part of your FDN course as a graduate, and please take advantage. That's what separates you from the rest of the health coaches in the world. You have these events, these tools, and these things that you could participate in.
I didn't just notice this, but everybody in that picture has a big smile on their face, and there's a reason for it. So one last thing before we end the show here today. Remember that as you're going through the FDN course, you're not getting one certificate, ours, the FDN graduation certificate, that grants you access to the medical director program. You're getting 2 additional board certifications. You're getting a board certification from the American Association of Drug Practitioners. They give you your HHP, your holistic practitioner designation without any test. They have so approved. Now, by the way, I've been a member of that for over 20 years, and they automatically they have accredited us so fully that it's just an instant thing. Any FDN, they also are an HHP. All you got to do is apply for it, and they send it right to you. And there's some other associations, I won't go into it, who recognize this, or at least for CEUs. So if you belong to these other groups, they've blessed us too, so to speak. So how simple is it to start or grow your business? Well, you're finding out that you have a proven system that the top functional health professionals use to unravel metabolic chaos. Science-based, run the right labs, individualized protocols. We resolve metabolic chaos. You resolve metabolic chaos. And you can be the last person they need to see. You can be the one that they go to. And that means for the rest of their life. So you can feel amazing doing your best work, helping clients to feel and perform at their best.
Yeah, I just want to say one thing. Number 2, run the right labs. Which are the right labs? All the labs. Don't stop making a decision. That's what other health coaches do. You run all the labs because all those ripples in the pond you have to solve. And there's only one way to solve those. Run the labs. And then you want to solve metabolic chaos.
Music to my ears, Dr. Al. And by the way, Dr. Al is one of the best chiropractors I've ever known. He's got 2 diplomats in neurology and things like that. And so he knows his business. And I'm just really blessed that you would kind of attached to FDN and from the first day that we ever met.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I only stick with the winners, dude.
Yeah, that I know about you. So last slide, folks. It's just a very mild call to action. This is not selling, but all the current students and grads who like to tune in here, access your resources in the student portal, or it's just your portal, the fdnconnect.com. If you're not an FDN, you won't be able to log into that. But that's where all your stuff is: the medical director program, all the continuing education, all the FDNP support stuff. There's hundreds of support videos and documents in that. Hundreds of documents. I think it's well over 200 resources for you now. And don't forget to go there and snoop around in your spare time. Now, for anyone who was peeking in the window here, if you're an aspiring functional health professional, any kind of health coach, personal trainer, nurse practitioner, we have physicians, chiropractors, acupuncturists, nutritionists, registered dietitians. lots of people like that are snooping around because they're not exactly happy with what they're doing now. It's too symptom based. It's too much management of disease. You can schedule a free career counseling session today. It's free. They will not try to sell you. They will just explain things to you, answer all your questions at fdn.today/career or email fdninfo@afdnp.com and just get your questions answered. What else, Dr. Al?
Yeah, so a couple of things. Number one, again, I want to say that just being here on a Saturday morning says a lot about you as an FDNer, so we're really happy that happened. Number two, there's two things I want you to realize, and that is that we try to do these trainings for FDNers as frequently as possible, probably once a month. But you're going to get an email at the end of this, which will have your replay. Make sure you go through it. I want to thank those who've been on all 3 calls this week. We did this on Tuesday, Thursday, and today. We try to do it multiple times when we do these so that it's convenient for you. But you're also going to get a link to a survey. Make sure you fill out that survey. Don't blow it off. And the reason is that survey is important for us, but really more important for you because it tells us what you want to hear about, what you want to learn about. I don't know, Reed, next month we might decide to do a training for FDNers on how you go from only charging $500 to $7,500. What's the key ingredient that FDNers could do that? Yeah. Whatever it is, put that in the survey so that what you want, we could do. Reed and I could do a training on that. I think that we're good to go.
Fantastic idea, because I can come up with a lot of things that I think you want to know, but it's up to you. So why don't you just tell us what you want to know?
Exactly.
And we'll do that. Thanks, Dr. Al. Appreciate you working on a Saturday for us, and thank you, Kay Marie, for monitoring the audience as we go along here. Are there people on staff right now to do this career thing? I guess it depends on if you're listening live or listening to the recording, but generally we have that covered. You can get a career session pretty much when you want it. So thanks.
Yeah, I'm gonna switch over to close out Facebook and YouTube right now while you say goodbye, Reed.